Okay. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Keep Playing. Welcome back to a new video. Today, we're doing something different. We're looking at the iPhone 15 Pro Max. This is, first of all, disclaimer alert, not a review, okay? This is my impressions on the 15 Pro Max after a week of usage. This phone is my daily driver, meaning that I use it for everything and anything. It's completely replaced my previous phone, which was the 12 Pro Max. The main reason I'm making this video is, one, for views. I need more subscribers. Two, is actually to help out the general public. Because I feel like, personally, that a lot of the tech YouTubers out there on YouTube are actually focusing on the elements that are not too important for the average consumer, right? They appeal to the tech enthusiasts. Now, I am a tech enthusiast myself. I am a tech geek, if I could claim so myself. The thing is, Apple isn't targeting tech enthusiasts as their consumer base, right? Obviously, they want as much money as they can get, so they're targeting anyone to everyone. And not everyone has the technical knowledge that tech enthusiasts do. What I'm here to do today is to tell you guys things that not a lot of people have spoken about and things that are more important than the technical elements of the new iPhone. There's 4 things that I'm going to discuss today, which I think personally, as an average consumer and as a tech enthusiast, are the most important elements that should decide whether you get yourself a new iPhone 15 this year. So, what are we waiting for? Cue the B-roll. First things you're going to look for when buying a phone, right? What is it? What do you need for a phone to be good? You need for it to live long as possible, right? Its battery is extremely important. Now, after a week of usage, I will show some statistics on screen, but like I said, for the average consumer, most people won't be bothering about the statistics, and some people won't be able to even understand the statistics. Hell, even I couldn't understand what the hell I was looking at. It's all based on interpretation. But anyways, over the past week, my usage has been completely, how do I say it, consistent. I am a university student. Therefore, my usage on my phone is actually quite high, meaning that I use my phone basically almost 24/7. And in my 12 Pro Max, if I was to use my phone from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 p.m. at night, my phone would be around, how do I say it, 10% maybe, max 10%. But for the iPhone 15 Pro, it doesn't even reach 50%. It stays at 50, which is crazy. So what I did was, before I bought the iPhone 15, like about 2 months back, I went ahead and got this thing called the Anker 737, which is a power bank. I bought this because I knew for a fact that my phone was dying in a day. And so I thought, I'm going to definitely need this. Plus, I have an iPad Pro, which I'm using for school, and it dies quite fast. I mean, not too fast, but you use it a lot. So it's understandable to want to have a backup battery pack for it. And so that's why I carry my power bank around. I used to use the power bank to charge both my phone and my iPad, but I don't have to worry about that anymore because the iPhone 15's battery life is incredible. As a matter of fact, research done by Mr. Who's the Boss, who is a YouTuber, he did like an experiment and he tried measuring from the iPhone 12 all the way to the iPhone 15 Pro Max and seeing which iPhone has the best battery life. Now, the best iPhone with the best battery life as of today is the iPhone 15 Plus. Now that's because the iPhone 15 Plus has more power, meaning it's a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, right? And this is around there as well, but the iPhone 15 Plus has a slightly better and a bigger capacity than the 15 Pro. Plus, you have to consider this is a much stronger phone. This is a Pro. There's a reason why it's called a Pro, right? It's a stronger phone. It has better performance, has a better camera, and in general, it's just better. The screen is better as well. So it's idealistic to assume that the battery life won't be as good as the ones on the base model. But that would be the wrong assumption to make this year because the battery life is impeccable. I absolutely love that in this phone, especially the Pro Max. The battery life is crazy good. The difference in the capacity from the iPhone 15 Pro to the Pro Max is not by a lot, but in my experience and with my friends who have the 15 Pro, we can agree that the battery life is quite consistent and it's really good. Now the second thing that I'm going to talk about today is something that people barely talk about. So guys, why do we buy a phone? We buy a phone to talk to people, right? But no one seems to talk about the audio quality on this phone. Like no one says anything about the audio quality. Like they just completely neglect that information. Like, isn't this really important, right? You want to buy a phone to speak to people, so you got to make sure it sounds good. And so actually, the sound is not too different. Actually, I don't think it's different at all from the 14 previous year. It's really good. Of course, it can be better. But then again, there's only so much you can do because you're limited to your cellular connection. So there's that. But this is a Wi-Fi. It does have Wi-Fi 6E. And it is also a 5G compatible phone. At the best of it's 5G, by the way. This is the model that I have is a SIM card model because obviously I'm in Southeast Asia. And here we don't have no SIM phones yet. Whereas in the States and some places in Canada, I'm assuming, are not using any SIM. So they're completely eSIM. I do have eSIMs on this phone, but I'm using a physical 5G SIM. But regardless, you're going to get full 5G speeds because this phone is really fast. And the audio quality is really good. Third, speakers. Now, I know a lot of people aren't going to be using speakers because they're probably going to use their AirPods, their earphones, whatever you have nowadays in 2023. The average consumer is just using headphones. It's so much more simpler that way. But I want to let you know that if you are not doing any of that and you're just alone in a room on your own and you want to watch a video or watch a movie on your phone or play a game, the audio quality is really, really good. It's, first of all, very loud. And secondly, extremely clear. There's a clear bass and there's a clear treble. Audio is quite good in this phone. I would say better than the iPhone 14 Pro, but not by a noticeable amount. But it's definitely better. The fourth thing I want to talk about is actually the main thing about this entire iPhone 15 lineup, which I think will benefit the average consumer, is the USB-C port. Now, the USB-C port is important. Isn't it important? Because in this day and age, if you go out to buy something, earphones, cables, like maybe another device, like a laptop, chances are it has a USB-C port. Because the industry standard has moved from USB 2.0 to USB-C. And so this is a big thing because that means you don't have to carry around that lightning port cable anymore. That lightning cable has been the most annoying thing Apple has done. I can carry one cable everywhere I go because my iPad Pro is USB-C. My laptop charges using USB-C, right? Hell, even my power bank charges through USB-C. So, I mean, I only need to carry one cable around with me at all times. So there's that. That's a really good factor in terms of portability and accessibility. The fact that they changed to USB-C will be a very useful thing for consumers. Whether or not the phone charges faster is an entirely different thing. It doesn't. It charges the same amount. That's something Apple can work on in the future, but they probably won't, knowing Apple is Apple right there. But the last thing I want to address today is the thing that is pissing me off the most, which a lot of people seem to be blowing this out of proportion on X, previously Twitter, and a lot of other social media platforms. They are talking about the notorious heating problem in the iPhone 15 Pro lineup. Let me address this really quick. And now this, I'm going to be giving you, this perspective is not an average consumer perspective. This is a tech enthusiast perspective. Heating of a phone. Okay, first of all, assuming this problem is persistent through all models is obviously unacceptable, right? You cannot be having a phone that overheats just on a normal use case. It's not allowed, it's not possible. But it would be foolish to say that it does not heat at all, because overusage, power that whatever you're doing demands from the phone, you're gonna get heat. Obviously, right? Sometimes when charging the phone, you can get heat because when you're charging, you're expanding the battery and that releases some heat. And another thing that people have to understand is that this has a titanium chassis, meaning just the outside of the phone, the insides are aluminum, but the outside of the phone, especially the lining, is titanium, which means it is prone to heating up. But let's be honest, most of the people are not going to be using this phone without a case, right? Even I, for a fact, have a case over there. The only reason I took it off is so that you guys can know for a fact that this is the iPhone 15. I'm not showing another phone. Okay, I did notice some heating issues the first day when I was using the phone. It was kind of hot, but that was right after I charged the phone. And afterwards, I didn't have a single issue with the phone getting hot. It never got hot, or even if it did, it wasn't anything different from my 12 Pro Max, which was getting hot sometimes based on my usage. For instance, if I was playing some games which demanded more energy and more power, then it was getting slightly hot. But this phone did not do that because it has an A17 Pro chip, which if you guys don't know what that means, which honestly, even I don't know what it means, it's just a powerful CPU. But anyways, these are the 4 things I wanted to talk about, excluding the heating problem, which is just something I wanted to address real quick. The 4 things that I mentioned just now was battery, audio quality, speakers, and finally USB-C. With all this in mind, would I recommend the iPhone 15 Pro Max to the average consumer? I would. I most definitely would. Only under the condition that you do not own an iPhone 14 Pro. If you own an iPhone 14 Pro, or if you own a 14 Pro Max or a 14 Pro, or a Samsung equivalent or an Android equivalent of that, then perhaps it's not the choice for you. But if you're someone like me who has an older version of the iPhone or an older version of an Android device, then I think it's worth switching to the iPhone 15 Pro series. And that, guys, will be the end of today's impression video. This is just the first week. This is not the review. I will upload a review in another week time. I think personally you need 2 weeks to fully understand whether a phone is right for you. And so I will only get all my pure unbiased opinions on this phone in another week time. So I will see you next week with a full-on, hands-on review of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Until then, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you around. Don't forget. Like this video and subscribe. Help me out. Oh boy.